Your hands are shaking, your chest is tight. You just lost a video game. Not a war, not a hunt, a game. Pixels on a screen, decided in under a minute, and yet your heart is pounding like you just outran a predator. You slam the controller down. You feel a flash of anger you can't explain. But the real answer is far stranger than you're just competitive. Your body doesn't know the difference between losing a match and losing your life. That sounds absurd. It isn't. Deep inside your skull sits a structure called the amygdala, a small almond-shaped cluster of neurons that has one job above all others: decide in a fraction of a second whether you are safe or in danger. It doesn't read the room. It doesn't check the calendar. It has no idea what a video game is. It only knows one thing: threat or no threat. And for most of human history, losing meant exactly that: a threat. Think about what losing actually meant to your ancestors 70,000 years ago. Losing wasn't a scoreboard. Losing was starvation. Losing was exile. Losing was watching a rival hunter get the meat, the mate, the status, while you got nothing. In a small band of 30 to 50 people, there was no anonymous defeat. Everyone saw you lose. Everyone remembered. And in a world with no hospitals, no supermarkets, no second chances, falling to the bottom of the group wasn't embarrassing. It was often fatal. So evolution did what it always does. It built a shortcut. Instead of engineering a brain that could calmly calculate, "This is a low-stakes recreational activity with no bearing on my survival," evolution built a brain that treats status loss as an emergency. Fast, blunt, impossible to reason with in the moment. Your ancestors, who felt nothing when they lost rank, who shrugged and wandered off, didn't outcompete the ones who felt a surge of adrenaline and fought to reclaim their position. The thin-skinned ones survived. The calm ones, more often, didn't pass on their genes. You are the descendant of the ones who cared too much. This is where a psychologist named Robert Sapolsky enters the picture. Sapolsky spent decades studying baboon troops in Kenya, and what he found reshaped how scientists think about hierarchy and stress. Baboons who fell in social rank didn't just feel bad. Their bodies changed. Cortisol spiked. Immune function dropped. The stress of losing status showed up in their bloodstream, measurable, physical, real. Losing wasn't just emotional, it was biological. Now here's the twist that makes this even stranger. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real threat to your survival and a symbolic one. A famous 1988 study by psychologist Susan Fiske, along with decades of follow-up work in social neuroscience, showed that humans process social threats, like rejection, failure, and public loss, using many of the same neural circuits that process physical pain. Losing a game doesn't just feel bad, it activates some of the same regions as a physical wound, which is why a stubbed toe and a humiliating defeat can produce a strangely similar wave of frustration. Think about what happens the moment you lose. Your muscles tense, preparing for a fight that isn't coming. Your face heats up, blood rushing to the surface, a leftover reflex from a body getting ready to either attack or flee. Your thoughts narrow. You stop thinking about the bigger picture and fixate entirely on the moment of failure, replaying it, rewinding it, searching for the mistake. That narrowing isn't a personality flaw. It's called threat-focused attention, and it's the exact same mechanism that once helped your ancestors survive an ambush by locking onto the danger and ignoring everything else. Except now, the danger is a scoreboard. There's a reason this shows up so intensely in competitive gaming specifically. Games strip away almost every excuse your brain could use to soften the blow. There's no bad weather to blame, no unfair terrain, just you, another person, and a clear, undeniable outcome. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies, including work compiled by researcher Christopher Bohm on egalitarian bands, found that early humans built elaborate social systems specifically to prevent this kind of stark, humiliating status difference. Bohm documented something called reverse dominance hierarchies, where groups actively mocked, shamed, or ostracized anyone who tried to dominate others, precisely because unchecked status competition was so socially explosive. In other words, your ancestors spent enormous energy trying to prevent exactly the kind of clear, public loss that a ranked match delivers to you in 90 seconds. No wonder it feels unbearable. And it's not only about the loss itself. It's about who's watching. Studies on social evaluation, going back to early work by Marvin Zuckerman, and later expanded by researchers studying social pain, consistently find that failure feels dramatically worse when it's witnessed. A private mistake stings. A public one burns. This is why losing in front of teammates, in front of a lobby full of strangers, in front of a live stream chat, can feel disproportionately devastating. Your brain isn't measuring the stakes of the game. It's measuring your standing in the eyes of the group. And for nearly all of human history, your standing in the eyes of the group was the single most important resource you had. Status wasn't vanity. Status was survival insurance. A high-ranking member of an ancestral band got fed first during scarcity, got protected during conflict, got chosen as a mate more often, got listened to when it mattered. Status wasn't a luxury emotion layered on top of survival. It was woven directly into it. So when you lose, and some old, deep part of your brain quietly asks, "Did my group just watch me fail?" It isn't being dramatic. It's running code that kept your ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years. Your amygdala has no update installed for the year you're living in. It still thinks the stakes are what they were on the savannah. It still thinks losing might mean losing your place in the group, your access to resources, your safety. It cannot distinguish a ranked ladder reset from a genuine collapse in social standing. To your ancient wiring, a lost streak looks identical to a slow slide toward exile. So the fury you feel isn't irrational, it's outdated. Here's the part that should change how you experience it. Knowing this doesn't erase the feeling, but it does something almost as useful. It gives the feeling context. The next time your jaw clenches after a defeat, you're not malfunctioning. You're not too sensitive or too competitive. You are a person carrying a 500,000-year-old alarm system that was built for a world of spears and starvation, now going off because of a screen. That gap between what your body thinks is happening and what's actually happening is the real story here. Your ancestors needed that alarm. It kept them fed, protected, and alive long enough to raise children who felt the same urgency. But you don't live in that world anymore. You live in one where losing a match costs you nothing but a few minutes and a bruised mood. The threat detector fires anyway, because it was never built to check the calendar. It was only ever built to protect you. So tonight, when you lose another match, and your hands tighten around the controller, and that old familiar heat rises in your chest, notice it for what it actually is. Not weakness, not failure, just an ancient survival system doing exactly what it was designed to do in a world that no longer needs it to.